Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Great thing about sessions is that if you want to continue the conversation that you have, we have a whole another section on the other side where you can do that so that we can make sure we have respect to our panelists. But super excited to really have this program that we started a couple of months ago in full swing. What's going on, Alexa? Probably about a month ago, myself, Aaron Christensen, and Kevin had a session talking about the Emerging Technology Initiative that we've created in partnership with Black Excellence Incorporated, KC Tech Council, and the Keystone Innovation District. The overall goal of this program is to introduce emerging technologies in about 3 different forms. The first form is how it's being used now, which you'll hear in our upcoming session. The session that's after this one will be actually breaking down the emerging technology that we'll be talking about into a little bit more layman's terms. So that's for me more than anything. And then lastly is a more interactive for us. And if you all might have seen, every first Friday we started a new initiative called Future Fridays, so that you can really engage with this emerging technology in the form of First Fridays, as we do in partnership with Rich and the rest of our emerging technology community. So you can come in, you can see our NFT art gallery, you can have some AR, VR experiences as well, learn all about blockchain, and of course, data analytics that we'll hear about today. So super excited to have to start this cycle in full today with Ethan here from Playfair, who is the director of am I saying it wrong?
Analytics engineering.
Analytics and engineering. And he just does a lot of cool stuff. KU grad twice, from KU Med and from the regular campus from Lawrence. And he's touched anywhere from nonprofits to global 10 companies with his skill set that he's brought here. So super excited to have you here. Thanks a lot. And thanks for everybody. Shout out to Alexa and the KC Tech Council for being here as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that intro. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, as you guys can see, I'm very diligent. I checked the weather before I came, made sure I was dressed appropriately. So definitely about had a daggone heat stroke coming up to the door here, but I'm committed, so here we are. Like gentleman said, my name is Ethan Lang. I really appreciate everybody joining us today. I know your time's very valuable, so hopefully I can translate something for you guys to take away with. But a little bit about myself, like you mentioned, I'm the Analytics Engineering Director at Playfair Data, and I lead 3 different teams there, the data engineering team, the visual analytics engineering team, as well as the decision science team. You mentioned a little bit about my background. I've worked with data for now 10 years. I have a degree in statistics from KU Med, as well as a degree from KU doing business analytics. But you guys didn't come here to hear about me talk about myself. So let's get into the more interesting topic at hand, visual analytics. So here's today's agenda. I'm going to briefly touch on who Playfair Data is, what we do, a little bit about the landscape right now within out there in the industry in terms of data and data analytics, talk about our process, our product, our impact, and then, of course, how we engage with our clients. So who we are, what wakes us up in the morning? Why do I do what I do every day? And it really boils down to this purpose statement. So our purpose is to positively impact the world by turning data into insight. And I know that's very cliche, to be frank, but I'm a firm believer of whatever you put out in the universe, you're going to get that in return. And we've really seen that come to light here. I've had the opportunity to work with nonprofits, solving problems with the overdose epidemic, synthetic drugs like fentanyl and other things. I've had the opportunity to work with auto manufacturers to optimize their fleets, to cut down on carbon emissions, all through data. Those are just a few of many of the ways that we've impacted the world at Playfair Data, and looking forward to seeing how else we can impact the world. So really at Playfair, we have 3 arms to our business. We do training. This could be virtual or public, as well as private trainings. This is where we go engage with teams and actually equip them with world-class proficiency using some data visualization tools so they can go and bring value to their own businesses or organizations. We also do consulting. I mentioned the opportunity to work with many clients all over the world, anywhere from local nonprofits all the way up to Fortune 10 companies global. And last, we have an enablement part of our business, which is called Playfair Plus. Playfair Plus is an on-demand training. You can go there, become a member, and get on-demand training through the platform on ways to implement visual analytics. So this next slide is kind of interesting. Who here likes data? Does anyone work in spreadsheets? Data lovers? I love it. Fantastic. Well, I'm about to show you something you'll hate, which is a spreadsheet. And we're going to do this little exercise where I'm going to show you this spreadsheet, and I want everyone to raise your hand as soon as you see the largest number within this data set. You guys ready? Oh, darn. Beat me to the punch. 1 second. All right. Go. Anyone see the largest number? Close. Shout them out. Raise your hands. 6810? Nope. Not there yet. Hey, 9004. I love it. How confident did everyone feel shouting out those answers? Very confident? Fantastic. Now I'm going to apply just a little bit of visual analytics to this data sheet, and you're going to be able to see how quickly we can find these insights that we're looking for. So I'm going to simply encode this data with color, and we'll see that these what we're looking for is going to come to light very quickly. I want everyone to raise your hand when you find the lowest number in this data set. Go. There it is, negative 4,871 in the bottom right. As you can see, I'm sure you felt very confident yelling that answer out versus what everyone else was doing earlier, just shouting out stuff. So this is really a very simple way of how visual analytics can help us encode and interpret data and get value out of the data. You don't want to spend time and effort looking through and trying to find an answer. You want it to appear before you, especially in today's day and age. We also want to make sure we're very confident about what our answers are, right? We don't want to go to our stakeholders and say, well, I feel like this is the right answer, maybe. So at Playfair Data, we think of visual analytics as the Rosetta Stone. If you guys are familiar with what the Rosetta Stone is, it was essentially a tablet where they would, it was encoded twice so they could decrypt ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. That's essentially what we're doing with visual analytics. There's a lot of complex data out there in the environment today. So we're using visual analytics as a Rosetta Stone to look at and encode that data and understand it. So there's really two key features here that I want to get across. One, using visual analytics facilitates the understanding of large data sets. As we're all aware, data is not going, we're not getting less data. We're just getting more and more of it. And the second thing is we really want to extract that valuable insight and inform these critical decisions very quickly and confidently. We don't want to make any decisions that, or base any decisions off wrong assumptions, just because we weren't able to interpret the data correctly. So how do we do that? What's our process look like? Before I get into that, I do just want to touch a little bit about who we are as a business, because our process is a lot different than your typical consultancy. It really starts with people, and that's why I love that last presentation and being here today. We don't get the opportunity to spend enough time with each other. So people in our business is very important. Just to introduce some of our team members, we really have 4 different key parts of our business, starting with strategy. So you can see here a couple of our team leads, as well as our founder, Ryan Sleeper, listed there at the top within the strategy circle of this Venn diagram that you can barely see. And then we have our visual analytics architecture team. Unlike a lot of other consultancies, we really focus in on user experience, design of the tool, what the tool looks like, how users are functioning with it, who our audience is, what we're trying to come across, what the objectives are of the tool. So we have a whole team of graphic designers that actually work on our analytics products. Next, we have our data engineering team. This is a group of individuals that are really good at taking data from all these different disparate sources, bringing them together into a single structured data set so we can then load them into the tools and visualize them. And then last, we have our visual analytics engineering team. This is our largest team. Visual analytics is the core of our business. So these individuals work with tools like Tableau, Power BI, Google Data Studio, name a data visualization tool. We have an expert in the field. We also have an operations team. I shouldn't have said the last team. These folks are super important. We wouldn't be able to do anything we do without Amy and Austin. Amy is our director of operations, so she handles all the legal, excuse me, HR, and other things within the business, as well as Austin, who's our marketing manager. So at Playfair, we love symbology. If you guys didn't catch that hint when I was talking about the Rosetta Stone. But we think of this as our Playfair Data perspective. And as we're working through these projects and building analytics tools, we really like to think of this as we're working our way up this mountain and we're looking down at everything we've done. So you can see it ends the journey with a data visualization tool. So this is our visual analytics product that we're delivering to our clients. But along that path, there's a huge focus around visual design. So again, above the clouds now, we're looking at the tool itself and the journey we've made. And these are some of the things that we see in user experience within the tool. So like I said, we have a very big emphasis on the user experience, the people that are using the tools, and the objectives that they're trying to achieve with those tools. But beyond that, it all starts with strategic planning. So this is really where we get together. We try to understand what's the objective of this tool. Are you trying to make more money, lower costs, reduce emissions? We try to set a measurable objective to every tool that we provide. We also think about the audience. I mentioned that several times, but the tool we're going to build for a CEO is going to look very different than a tool we build for an analyst. We also have data engineering. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but we need data to build these tools. So data engineering. Data science is next. Like I said, my background is in statistics. This is something that's very powerful if used appropriately. At Playfair, we call our data science team, which is a big buzzword nowadays, but we call it decision science because we like to base everything on a decision. And then last, you're getting all of this because of our technical expertise. Like I said, it really takes a whole team to come up with these products. I'm a numbers guy. If you ask me to design a tool, I'm going to laugh in your face. That's not my expertise. So we have teams of experts that come together, collaborate, and build world-class products. So thinking through that journey, this is our framework that we like to use. This is called the Decision-Ready Data Framework. But it all starts with discovery. That's when we're doing that strategic planning. We're meeting, interviewing our stakeholders, trying to come up with those objectives, find out who the users are. Next, we go into data. This one, we're prepping the data using tools like SQL, Alteryx, Tableau Prep, even in Excel. Believe it or not, people still use Excel. It's wild. Dashboards, that's our next step. This is really where we get into designing the dashboards themselves, tools like Figma, what I'm presenting through right now, Adobe Suite, all kinds of different things, but we build wireframes and then interview our stakeholders on the wireframe itself, get their feedback, implement that within the tool. And then last, we actually build the tool using tools like Tableau, Power BI. Like I said, name a data visualization tool, we could do it. So I've talked a lot of hype about what we do, but what do our products actually look like? So these are white labeled real examples of some of the products we've delivered. And I'll just simply scroll through these. As you can see, they're very visual. very design oriented. All of these are designed and built in Figma before we actually deliver it within Tableau. We also like to use more of think of it as a web app or web application is really how we build and design our tools versus a traditional Tableau dashboard or data tool. So what is the impact we've actually made? This one's really interesting. It's near and dear to me. Like I said, we've worked with a lot of businesses around the world, helped a lot of folks out, anywhere from ending the overdose epidemic all the way up to trying to reduce greenhouse emissions. But this is a number that we came up with to kind of measure the impact we're having. 71% seems pretty average. But this is actually the percentile of the Fortune 100 companies we've worked with. So we've worked with 71 of the current Fortune 100 companies, whether that's through training, consulting, or our Playfair Plus platform. So how do we engage with our clients? Again, I kind of touched on this a little bit. But this is our engagement process, and this is how we typically will work with our clients to come up with these products. But it starts with a partnership agreement. That's where we kind of establish the terms and conditions of the project itself. And then we like to roll into what's called a pilot project. It's a fixed bid, fixed budget project where at the end of it, you will get delivered an analytics tool. And then last, we do extended engagements. This is where we're basically on demand. We have team members that are full-time at some of our clients' companies, all the way to being on call. Guys can call us for an hour, get help with whatever you need, and we would do the engagement that way. And I always like to end, this is our value proposition, but I've talked a lot about a people specifically. And I do think that's what sets us apart is our team. Our team, when you work with Playfair, you're not getting a single individual. You're not getting, the one guy that knows everything. You're getting a full team of team members that have diverse skill sets, thought processes, ideas, and they're coming together to really build a world-class product. We can work, obviously, as we collaborate to accomplish numerous projects versus just one or two. And we also are on the call whenever you need us. You don't have to go outside of your network to find these resources. If you guys did have any questions or wanted to work with us, this would be the best way to contact us. Obviously, I have my business cards, but Ryan Sleeper, he's our founder and principal, and I mentioned Amy. We couldn't do anything without Amy, really. She's the brains of the whole operation. So definitely feel free to reach out to either of those individuals or myself. Does anyone have any questions? And then there was one other thing I wanted to show, if we have time. Questions? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, need a mic.
Check. Cool.
Yep, go ahead.
So great presentation.
Thanks.
I guess my question is, when you're looking at the future of where things are headed, how are you all thinking about showing or offering data visualization in a three-dimensional context? Because that's kind of going to probably become the way that people start to see data in a new way.
Sure.
Contextually, right? So as you point out things from an environmental standpoint, potentially you're kind of charting how data is playing out in an environment. What kind of things are you all putting into place to maybe explore that as an option?
I love it. So with Playfair, like I said, we all have very diverse skill sets. One of those skill sets being Python, web development, JSD3. All of those tools have those capabilities that you just mentioned, where we could kind of do those 3D renderings and different things like that. Even tools like Tableau and Power BI They're also starting to delve into that AR world, or augmented reality, where you can kind of have a presentation, move things around on the dashboard live. So we're definitely innovative. We're keeping up with the times, even in terms of AI. We have a whole task force and kind of research and development team dedicated to just looking at how AI can help us improve our products. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Once again, great presentation. One thing I would ask, kind of for the visual analytics and data side of things, for like the common day person or small business owner, do you have like examples, like for instance, the mom and pop shop, that's, like I said, trying to have interactions on their website, or, like I said, trying to drive marketing? Because I think that, one thing that you very much pointed out is that if the data is easy to see, that's marketing. And, at the end of the day, people need to understand if you have those data points in, cute, sexy ways or whatever, things like that, just small examples. So that way, small entrepreneurs or business owners can understand how they can also use you guys as tools as well.
I love it. Yeah, we do work, like I said, from businesses, Fortune 100 companies, all the way down to local nonprofits, things like that. We've built tools in the past. I'll present a couple of them that I've built personally on my free time, and then some that Playfair has built. We have a couple examples. We're obviously, as a data company, we take data privacy very serious, so we don't even talk about who our clients are a lot of the time. But we do have a couple public examples of where we've teamed up with different organizations. I'll show that. But back to your question, really mom and pop shops, there's a whole variety of tools that they could interact with. The problem is always funding, right? It's hard to, work with some businesses like that when they don't have enough funds to fund the project itself. But we do work with them. We've worked with several different kind of local nonprofits, specifically at discounted rates, where we're building tools for them to kind of understand. In terms of the marketing projects, there's tools available to mom and pop shops. I'm happy to talk to you about that if you're interested in, that are completely free. Tools like Google Analytics, where you can look at your web data. Google also offers called Google Data Studio, where you can actually build those dashboards for free. It's very easy to interact with. It's kind of drag and drop. So happy to answer any questions. If you know anyone that is interested in that stuff, I love this stuff. I could talk about it all day. So I would love to walk anybody through setting that up and getting that going for themselves. Question over here. Couple.
Yes, wait for the mic.
Test. Hi, Greg Harrington, MercuryGrants.com. I was just curious, do you have a go-to tech stack or your favorites for building these things?
My favorite personally is Tableau. I've worked with Tableau for going on 11 years now. So that's where I spend most of my time. I find it very easy to use. But Power BI, Tableau, those are kind of the two data visualization tools that are most common out in the industry right now. As far as data engineering, it'd be Alteryx, Tableau Prep. Obviously, as a Tableau shop, we work in Tableau Prep a lot. Alteryx, we have Alteryx experts as well that utilize those tools for data engineering, as well as SQL. We can dive into the code and just do it the old-fashioned way, right? Data science, the decision science, we have experts in R and Python. So kind of a diverse set.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions? All right, I'll show you guys just a couple. This is Playfair's portfolio. We do blog consistently. We actually launch a new blog twice every week now through our team. So every blog we have has a supplemental workbook that you can dive into. And you can find all of that here. So this is some of our recent projects. I mentioned that public project we just worked on. This was actually with the NFL, where they were looking at mobility opportunity trends within the National Football League. So they were looking at which teams are hiring diversity or coaches of color, and then which teams were not. So they can start pushing these teams in the league to become more diverse. So this was a really cool project we did. It actually came in just before the NFL came to Kansas City for the draft. So we were really excited about that. And like I said, this is our public portfolio. So a lot of different stuff in here. This is one we did where we were looking at plastic pollution in the oceans. We've done one on food access in the United States. That's in here. So all kinds of really fun stuff, utilizing data and data visualization. Go ahead.
My question would be kind of, since you guys have a lot of different categories and things like that, what to you, being on the back end of data right now and seeing how tech's advancing, what industries currently right now are lagging in the data side of things that you think could really be improved, especially, like I said, with the way things are moving faster and certain industries are getting emphasis. Where do you think is a lacking industry when it comes to data and analytics?
That's a really good question. Honestly, it's almost across the board. It's kind of funny. So we team up with organizations, like I said, all over the world. And I mentioned the joke about Excel earlier. Well, what we find is a lot of folks are stuck in Excel. They're just, it's the way they've always done it. Maybe setting up a dashboard is either too much effort or cost associated with that. Maybe it's not answering the objectives that they're trying to solve, so they just go to the raw data. But if I had to choose a single industry, man, I think it would have to be accounting. Me and accountants, we don't get along very well. They love their spreadsheets, they love Excel. So that's a tough one, tough crowd to win into data visualization and data analytics. I'd say maybe education, slightly behind that. Healthcare is actually a pretty big business. They actually look at a lot of data with clinical trials and stuff like that, so they're pretty well versed. Banking and finance, I think, is pretty good within data analytics right now. They're applying a lot of models to understand the stock markets and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'd have to say maybe education, and then obviously accounting. Question over here, a couple.
Hi, you touched on this during your presentation, but I'd like to hear you maybe go into a bit more detail.
Sure.
How does the changing regulations in regards to privacy and how users are sharing their data, how does that make this more complicated? I'm in the marketing field, so I do a lot of data analysis, and we're having to adapt. So I'm wondering what you guys are thinking through and how you guys are kind of hitting this head on.
100%, and we are. We work with a lot of our clients to help them understand these rules and policies and stuff. So we actually work with a legal counsel here in town that's helped us work through some of that and understand kind of the jargon that comes with all that legality. But really it boils down to adopting kind of what has started in Europe and kind of moved to California and now is being adopted throughout the world. It makes it a little bit more complicated. Obviously, but I do think it's well worth it. Everyone's privacy matters, and we take that very seriously within Playfair Data, obviously with our clients, but every data point on these data visualizations is a person, and we can't make assumptions about these people without actually knowing the full story. So how can we do that through data? What I would suggest, and kind of what we've adopted, is to just white label everything. We don't really take demographics at all into account when we do data science and stuff like that. And then anyone's name or personal PI information stripped from our data sets completely before we even get them. So I would just keep those as best practices moving forward.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So my question is, it's great seeing how many different types of data you have here that are visualized. Are you also selling that information from an API standpoint? Are you offering it as data sets to be used for artificial intelligence, or is that something that you'll be doing in the future?
No, we're not in the business of selling any data at all. All of this is public data or built off of kind of demo data sets. Like I mentioned, I think the only actual client-facing public portfolio piece we have is that work we did with the NFL. And we specifically got their agreement to be able to publish it and kind of brand it together. But all of this data is fake, everything in here. We don't sell any data. We don't have any plans to. Any other questions? Fantastic. Oh, go ahead.
When you're talking about large organizations, you're talking about multiple user viewpoints, and you're going to be coming in, and it's not just a simple dashboard. Many parts of the organization may have different visualization capabilities, tools that they use or familiar with. Are you looking at taking all of your data and putting it together into graphical or vector databases, and then using that as an extrapolation to get to Power BI to try to get to to get to other visualizations like you're talking in Tableau as a method of commonality? And by using some of that and by being very sophisticated in it, you're setting yourself up for the 3D experiences, with the AR and other immersive experiences, but also looking at possibilities of using ontologies and how you would be able to self-discover those and to be able to better connect those to be able to make more information possible from that data. Are you thinking of that realm?
Yeah, I think I can answer your question, but let me know if I'm far off from what you're saying. It kind of goes back to this gentleman's comment about us selling data, but we don't store any of our clients' data on-prem or in the cloud or anywhere. They manage all of their own data. We simply get access to it and visualize it for them. So we don't necessarily work or pool their data into any kind of server or cloud service that we have through Playfair. We do bring in kind of desperate data sources. So to give you an example, the overdose epidemic project I was mentioning, we actually worked with the CDC to get that data and pull it from their systems using an API. But that's stored as kind of an Excel sheet, kind of a spreadsheet where we're pulling that in and publishing that with the dashboard itself. We don't store it anywhere on-prem. Does that answer your question, or were you going somewhere else? Okay. Yep, back here in the back.
First of all, fantastic presentation. Really appreciated listening to it. I was just going to make a mild disagreement in that financial services is a real greenfield for analytics. We are literally in the Stone Ages when it comes to using analytics. My second question for you, though, was noticing that you have your data engineering team, your data science team. I apologize, this may be a little inside baseball. I'm a senior data engineer, so that's the stuff that interests me.
Sure.
Do your data scientists work with a lot of machine learning? And if so, how do you divide up the responsibilities for monitoring, doing ML ops, that sort of thing? Is that something your data engineering team does? Is that something a data scientist is expected to do? Are they expected really to build those Python skills up to be able to do that? I'm just curious where you guys are there in that journey.
Yeah, most of the time when we're working with big ML projects like that, we're really teamed up with a client. So we'll be a part of their team, kind of embedded within their team. So that kind of gives us a whole disposal to their resources as well to help us kind of push that throughout the organization. It'd be really hard to stand up that ML ops kind of thing without hosting that ourselves, and that's something that we're not interested in doing. So it's really a partnership between us and our clients to stand it up and then make sure we can turn it over and let them run it after we kind of step away from the engagement. So it is a partnership, a collaboration between us and the stakeholders. Yes, yeah, we do a lot of ETL. Obviously, just working with these different clients, come in, extract some data, visualize it, turn everything else over, or we can become engaged and kind of embedded within those teams. Some of our clients we've been working for full time, embedded within their team for years. So we've built up kind of that domain knowledge and level of access, obviously, to be able to run and do things like that. So it just depends on each engagement that we do. Any other questions? All right. Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time. Like I said, I know it's very valuable, so thank you.